Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gents. This is your boy Casanova from Orlando, Florida, on this awesome and international podcast, Good Wine and Great Laughs, ladies and gents. The podcast for wine lovers and hot topics, ladies and gents. If you are new to my YouTube channel, I am Casanova. Every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., we're going to have a new episode with the topics that affect our lives directly or indirectly. But first, I always start with the wine of the day. I'm going to open this bottle shortly right here. I always give the description about the wine, some information about it, give you my review about the wine and the picture of this wine bottle of the day is always available on my social medias, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be listed right here. Feel free to look at it. If you like my review, the pictures are available. The picture is available for you to check it out and go to a local wine store if you find it. And if you drink any of the wine that have been posted here for a while now, it's going to be 3 years on the YouTube channel, and it's going to be 5 years in August of me doing this podcast. You're more than welcome to make a comment, ladies and let me know what you think. So if you like wine, if you like hot topics, this YouTube channel is for you. And if you like the work that I do, ladies and gents, I appreciate if you click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, the notification button, and share these videos or any other videos that you watch from my YouTube channel with all your family and friends. I appreciate your support, ladies and gents. So today is January 4th, 2024, and the weather here in Orlando, ladies and gents, is going to be mainly sunny, highs of 63 and lows of 43 degrees. Ladies and gents, I want to wish you guys a blessed and happy New Year, ladies and gents. I hope your Christmas and your New Year celebration were good, with a lot of joy, laughter, and a good time with the people that you love and care about. Ladies and gents, enough talking. Let's see what the wine of the day is all about. So I have this Park. It's the Brut. It's a pristine Brut, a product of France called Farbourg 21. And the sparkling wine Chardonnay. According to the label in the back, ladies and gents, I love this beautiful gold color right here. It's saying that the Brut is clear, brilliant robe, green reflections, now pale, in which the very typical white flower of the Chardonnay dominates, fine and discreet bubbles. Alcohol percent of this wine, see here, is 12%, ladies and gents. So let's see what this Brut is all about. The Brut. Sounds rough. Sounds rough. Oh my goodness. So, and I was watching, while taking my break, ladies, since I was watching some of the TikTok video, and I saw this lady showing the best way to open any sparkling wine or champagne, ladies. And this is sparkling wine. The only champagne, for those who don't know, we think everything champagne. No, ladies, that's the only sparkling wine that's considered it can be called champagne is the one that produced on the Champagne area, the French area called Champagne. That's why everything else is sparkling wine, for the record. So, according to this lady on TikTok, the best way to open, instead to push out the way, you just slowly hold here and slowly twist until you get the pop. There you go. This is a nice way to open. Ladies and just twist around slowly. All right. Let's see what this is all about. See, the color of the wine matches the color of the bottle. Love it. You can see nice and slow fizzling right here. And another thing is true that I was doing my search, watch a lot of videos about the wine. The best way to drink sparkling wine is not the flute, ladies and gentlemen. You need something that's going to open up and have the sparkling, the bubbles to come out better than the regular flute that a lot of people think that's the best sparkling wine glass. But this one that has wider, a little bit wider, if you add a little bit more, just like almost like a red wine, is a better for the wine taste. So let me see. Love the bouquet of it. In my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very good wine. I definitely give a 9 for this one right here. You can feel the fizzing. A lot of people don't like Chardonnay because they don't like the buttery taste of it. In my personal opinion, the Brut over here doesn't have the buttery taste that a lot of people don't like. I definitely recommend this one right here, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the picture is going to be available on my social media. Feel free to look at it. And if you get any of the wine that I recommend, once again, go ahead and make a comment and let me know what you think, ladies and gents. So let's talk about the topic of the day. And today's season 10, episode number 1. And the topic of the day is, new year, new drama already, ladies and gents. What I'm going to talk about, I'm going to watch 2 videos, or probably some people do not know that right on the first 3 hours of the new year, a crazy dude decided to get in his truck and hit some people in the streets in New Orleans. So let's watch those videos right here, and at the end of those 2 videos, you will know what I think about. I will always give you my 2 cents about the topic of the day. So it is showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, before I play this video right here, let me correct one thing. The correct pronunciation of this wine is Farbourg. Farbourg 21. That means, translated from French to English, is suburb. Suburb 21. Farbourg 21. That's the name of this sparkling wine. Correction. I like to pronounce the name correctly. So here we go.
The horrific and deadly attack in New Orleans. At least 15 killed and dozens more injured when a driver rammed a rented pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street around 3 a.m., just hours into the new year. The FBI now investigating it as an act of terrorism. Law enforcement now reviewing this surveillance video showing the white pickup truck driving down Canal Street before turning right into Bourbon Street. The suspect mowing down dozens of people over a 3-block stretch, turning the typically festive and iconic Bourbon Street into a deadly scene of carnage and chaos. Dramatic video capturing the moment police exchanged gunfire with the suspect, authorities saying he died in that exchange. 2 police officers were also injured but are in stable condition. Authorities releasing this image of the 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, an Army veteran and U.S.-born citizen. Police now asking anyone with information to come forward. Tonight, why the FBI says the suspect did not act alone, the chilling accounts from eyewitnesses, and what we're learning about the victims. And President Biden speaking just moments ago. ABC's Trevor Ault leads us off in New Orleans with the new details coming in tonight.
Tonight, state, federal, and local authorities searching for possible accomplices after a 42-year-old man from Texas flying an ISIS flag barreled a rented Ford F-150 pickup down Bourbon Street, killing at least 15 people and injuring dozens more.
He was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did.
Law enforcement tracking this disturbing surveillance video showing the pickup coming down Canal Street around 3:15 this morning before veering right into pedestrians.
We have dozens of people that got hit by this car.
You just heard this squeal and like the rev of an engine and then this huge loud impact and then the people screaming.
This video shot from a Bourbon Street balcony showing bodies laying in the middle of the street. Jimmy Cothran was his group's designated driver.
We ran upstairs, and when we got on the balcony, what we saw was insanity. I mean, something out of a movie. The graphic nature of it, and it was unbelievable. We instantly counted, I'd say, 10 bodies.
Authorities identifying the suspect as 42-year-old Shamsu Din Jabbar, a U.S. citizen and Army veteran from Texas. They say he was speeding down Bourbon, wearing body armor and firing an AR-style rifle out of the truck, racing about 3 blocks before crashing, then stepping out and opening fire again, wounding 2 police officers. Authorities returning fire, the suspect dead at the scene, this image showing his body laying next to that truck. And inside that Ford F-150, authorities say they found multiple homemade pipe bombs packed with nails. And sources tell ABC News on that flagpole, wrapped in that gray jacket, is a black flag bearing the ISIS insignia. Police spending much of the day scouring downtown New Orleans, detonating multiple possible IEDs in multiple locations. ATF agents swarming this home 2 miles away, believed to be an Airbnb linked to the suspect.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates. That's why we need the public's help. We are asking if anybody has any interactions with Shamsu Din Jabbar in the last 72 hours, that you contact us.
The attack coming as every law enforcement officer in the city was on duty, with thousands of New Year's revelers and football fans in town for the Sugar Bowl, all packing the French Quarter. In this Earth Cam video, nearly a dozen officers seen on Bourbon Street, not far from the attack, racing toward the danger. The FBI now leading the investigation, authorities looking at how the suspect was able to get down Bourbon Street, which is usually blocked off by security barriers. But after multiple malfunctions, they were in the process of being replaced. There were vehicles blocking Bourbon Street, but as that video shows, the suspect went on the sidewalk.
We had barriers there, we had officers there, and they still got around. So we did indeed have a plan, but the terrorist defeated it.
And tonight, the stories of the innocent victims are coming into focus. 18-year-old Nikaira Dido, Gulfport, Mississippi. She was set to start nursing school this month. 37-year-old Reggie Hunter, who came to New Orleans from Baton Rouge with a cousin on a whim.
And just living your life, trying to have fun, and for this to happen to you is senseless.
27-year-old Nicole Perez, her employer, says she was a great mom.
She was being a mother and a father, and she was doing a really good job.
We are thinking of the victims' families tonight. Trevor with us now from New Orleans. And Trevor, the FBI tonight believes the suspect did not act alone.
That's right, Mary, and one indication to authorities that this suspect did have help with those multiple potential IEDs found in other parts of the city. And the FBI is now urging anyone who had contact with this suspect in the past 72 hours to contact the authorities immediately. Mary.
Okay, Trevor, thank you.
sudden terror on Bourbon Street.
There are just bodies and the screams. You cannot think about, unhear that. It was chaos and very, very scary.
Everything in the car is hitting, it's getting thrown.
A vehicle ran through a crowd of people. There's multiple injuries, multiple casualties. They need to canal in Bourbon.
Just hours after the clock struck midnight, the driver in a pickup truck went around barricades, according to police, killing those celebrating New Year's Eve along the iconic street. At least 15 people were killed, dozens others injured.
This is not just an act of terrorism. This is evil.
The suspect, identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old man from Texas who previously served in the U.S. military. He was driving a privately rented pickup truck from Turo, an Airbnb-type rental site for cars.
An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
Once the vehicle stopped, the driver reportedly opened fire on responding police officers.
Law enforcement returned fire, and the subject was pronounced deceased at the scene. 2 law enforcement officers were injured and transported to local hospitals.
Witnesses are asking questions about why the city's steel mechanical barricades weren't up prior to the attack.
There was police there at the entrance, a lot of police there, but the metal barricades were not up.
Bollards were not up because they are near completion.
The FBI, which has taken over the investigation, does not believe the suspect acted alone.
We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
And the Sugar Bowl for college football, scheduled to be held in New Orleans this evening, has been postponed.
All agree that it's in the best interest of everybody and public safety that we postpone the game for 24 hours.
And we are starting to learn more about the now 15 who were killed as a result of this attack, including 37-year-old Reggie Hunter from Baton Rouge. He had just texted his family Happy New Year a little earlier in the evening, according to his cousin, who tells us that he was someone who liked to laugh and tell jokes. He loved his family, loved his kids, leaves behind an 11-year-old and a 1-year-old just hours into 2025, Wolf.
Our deepest condolences to his family. Art Omar, thank you very much. I want to get right to our chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst, John Miller. He's getting some new reporting for us. John, what are you learning?
Well, Wolf, what we've been trying to do is develop a richer picture of who is the man behind this carnage in New Orleans. What do we know about him, and what can that tell us about motive? And what we've learned from multiple sources is that Mr. Jabbar apparently made, according to authorities, a series of voice recordings on video as he drove, they believe, from Texas to Louisiana to partake in these attacks, allegedly. The recordings talk about the turmoil in his family, the long-fought, bitter divorce he was going through. He discusses, according to officials briefed on the videos, where it appears they're made while he's driving, but it's in the dark, so you can't really see him on these videos, recorded apparently on his phone. But he talks about the idea of getting his family together for a celebration, which would have been a ruse so that he could kill all of them, but that over time, after having a series of dreams about joining ISIS, that he changed his plan to carry out this attack in New Orleans to create mass casualties in the name of ISIS. So what we're starting to see is an individual who was experiencing turmoil and stressors in life, who was going to act out in some kind of violent way, and at least, according to what they believe are his own words, decided to do this as an alternative to killing his family. In the recordings, he also has a last will and testament where he divides up what little money he has left after all the financial losses and setbacks he had suffered to family members. So they're beginning to get a picture of what was going on, and it seems to be what was going on in the background of this individual's life that was as much of a driver as any commitment to terrorism.
Yeah, John Miller, great reporting as usual. Stand by. I'm going to get back to you in a moment or so. I want to get some more now on the federal investigation from CNN's Evan Perez. Evan, authorities have released a photo of the man identified as the driver of the truck that plowed into that crowd in New Orleans, killed 15 people, and injured dozens of others.
That's right, Wolf. And that photograph is being put out there by the FBI in part to try to drive tips from the public. They have asked, they set up a website, fbi.gov/Bourbon Street Attack. They are asking the public to send in any information, any videos, anything about where this suspect may have been over the last several days, over the last several weeks, as they were developing this plot. And we also know, obviously, as we've reported previously, that he was an Army veteran. He served in the U.S. Army from 2007 to 2020, both in active duty and in reserve status. He actually deployed to Afghanistan in 2009 for about a year into early 2010. And, you know, again, part of the picture, as John was just describing, you know, is coming into focus now for the investigators. A lot of his problems and whatever might have been his motivation to then associate with ISIS, which is clear, according to the investigators, that is exactly what his intent was, again, is what's driving all of this. Wolf?
And I know, Evan, you're also getting clarification from law enforcement officials on possible accomplices.
Right. The FBI is still trying to determine whether there's anybody else who might have been involved. Obviously, they know that he was trying to associate with ISIS. It's not clear whether he was talking to anybody in particular to try to plot this attack, or whether, again, this was more of a self-directed of the type that we've seen before. We also know, Wolf, that they were looking at video, surveillance video, that showed 4 people who they at least thought initially could have been involved with maybe some of the IEDs that were found elsewhere in the French Quarter. The FBI later determined that those people had nothing to do with carrying out this attack. So at least for that part of the investigation, that part is closed off. They are still, however, looking into the possibility that there are other people who could have been involved, again, in either helping to construct the IEDs or who may have known about his plans before he carried it out. All of that is still on the table, Wolf.
What more are we learning about the man who was driving this truck that was used as a deadly weapon last night?
Well, piecing together much more of a profile of Shamsuddin Jabbour, Wolf. And what we've been able to learn, we've culled from public records as well as videos and information he himself has put online. What you're looking at here is an image of him from a YouTube video posted in 2020. It has since been taken down. This video, he has titled it Personal Introduction. He says that he was born in Beaumont, Texas. He talks about his service as an Army, as a member of the U.S. Army, so he's an Army veteran, and his work in information technology as well as working in real estate. He says in that video that serving in the military taught him, quote, the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch. In that video, he is sitting next to a poster titled Discipline and near a book titled Leadership. Now, authorities do confirm that he served in the U.S. Army. We do have a picture of him from that photo that was posted on Facebook from the U.S. Army. This is a picture of him in 2013. It's a Facebook post from the U.S. Army again, and he's identified in this photo as an Army Staff Sergeant working as an information technology team chief for the 82nd Airborne Division's 1st Brigade Combat Team, and that was back then in 2013. He also posted an online resume where he describes how he graduated from Central Texas College in 2010 and he received a bachelor's degree from Georgia State University in 2017. Georgia State does confirm that he did attend there and did graduate. And Texas records also show that he had a real estate license from 2019 and it expired in 2023. And then the last thing, Wolf, that we found really interesting, because it sort of lays the financial picture of his life currently, is that he was in a divorce with his first wife, and that in 2012 she had sued him for child support. But in 2022 he had submitted an email talking about how he was struggling financially. He wrote that he had fallen behind in house payments, that he feared that he was nearing foreclosure, that he was behind more than $27,000 in payments. He also wrote that the business that he had talked about in that YouTube video, that it had had also not made money. He'd lost $28,000 and he was $16,000 in credit card debt, Wolf.
Lots of new information. Kyung-La, thank you. Omar Jimenez, thanks to you as well. I want to break all of this down with our law enforcement experts. Andrew McCabe, let me start with you. What are the next steps right now for the FBI, and you're a former deputy director of the FBI, as they try to determine who the individuals placing these improvised explosive devices in the area are?
Absolutely, Wolf. That is priority one for the FBI right now, to identify and locate those individuals who they have captured in the surveillance video, placing the IED devices, at least two of which have been rendered safe, and therefore are probably providing the Bureau with some evidence that they can use to compare to the device and the other evidence that's been recovered from the truck. And so they may have a solid forensic connection between the IEDs, which would only confirm their suspicion that those three men and one woman are related to or working in concert with the driver of the truck. So that's the biggest potential threat the Bureau is probably focused on right now. And they are doing all the things that we have seen in these sorts of situations in the past. They are scouring video coverage to try to locate those folks and track their movements last night as they led up to the moment of placing the IEDs. They're trying to locate places to search. They're trying to locate individuals who might know something about those folks. So it's a lot of activity going on focused in that direction.
Critically important information they got to find out. Mary Ellen O'Toole, you're a former senior FBI profiler. What could these IEDs tell you about the perpetrator's intention? Does that suggest to you that a larger attack was indeed planned?
Certainly, and thank you for having me on. The IEDs will be very important, both from a behavioral as well as a forensic perspective. So forensically, the Bureau will be dismantling these devices and looking to see if they were likely each constructed by the same person. Bombers often have a signature, so they will be looking to see if it looks like one person put them together. They'll also be looking for things like fingerprints and DNA that is left over on these devices. That becomes extremely important. But at the same time, behaviorally, they'll be looking at who are they aware of? Is there someone already out there that has come to their attention as someone that is a possible bomb maker in another case or in another incident? So they'll be looking at that as well. And I think through the behavior and through the forensics is another way that they will be attempting to identify who this person is. And I think based on what they've already said about these IEDs, they were not just made to go off and make a loud sound. They were actually designed and constructed so that they would actually be weapons of lethality as well. So that goes to the intent of the people that were involved in this.
I stand by. Charles Ramsey is with us as well, the former Washington, D.C. police chief, former police commissioner in Philadelphia. Chief Ramsey, what are the challenges for law enforcement right now as they try to secure the French Quarter in New Orleans while conducting this investigation?
Well, first of all, we all know the French Quarter goes beyond just Bourbon Street. So you've got a pretty wide area that I'm certain that they are searching and trying their best to secure. Certainly, we're talking now about a vehicle attack. But again, you know, you've got a lot of pedestrians, especially this football game coming up. You have a lot of people that'll be walking there, which makes them vulnerable. So they delayed it a day to go over their security plan, to do the best they can, to probably push that perimeter out further, certainly lock it down from any vehicle traffic and things like that. Nothing's going to be 100%. I mean, that's just the way it is. But clearly, the steps that were taken yesterday or early this morning were insufficient. When you look at that one video, the way the truck was able to just easily maneuver past that patrol car, they're going to have to reevaluate an awful lot when it comes to securing major events.
Good point. Andrew, let me go back to you. Investigators have also found writings that support investigators' view right now that the suspect was inspired by ISIS. How critical is that in this investigation?
Well, Wolf, it tells us a lot about what brought that person to that moment in time. And it can also tell us about others who they may have interacted with, people they may have prepared devices with, they may have prepared for this attack with other people, trained with other people, received support from other people. So everything that this subject left behind in terms of his own writings, his own activity on any devices, any electronics devices, telephones, that sort of thing that may have been seized through the searches we've seen taking place throughout the day. All of those items are going to help them get one step closer to the 4 other people they know they have to find, and potentially others. There may be other people involved in this plot who did not appear on that surveillance video that we've been talking about for the last couple of hours. So they have a lot of intelligence that they need to collect and analyze to get a full picture of whether or not a critical threat to security still exists. We will not know the answer to that until we can confidently state whether or not he's worked with other people, and do we have those folks under control or in some sort of custody.
We're just getting in some very disturbing new video of someone walking out of a bar on Bourbon Street in New Orleans shortly after the attack. I want to play that for you and for our audience. Watch this. Juliet, what do you make of the truly harrowing situation seen in that bystander video?
I think what you're seeing is people who are trying to get out of a car going, I think at this stage they're measuring over 40 miles per hour, and getting them just simply out of the way of the vehicle. And this is why the question of the permanent barriers is going to come up, because look, these security measures always have to be upgraded, and we're hearing that this was a security upgrade, possibly in anticipation of the Super Bowl in a couple weeks. But New Year's Eve came before that, and so if you have barricades, temporary barricades, permanent barricades, and then the third level tends to be sanitation trucks or whatever, you just have that layer of defense. All of them are intended to essentially try to slow down a car. What we're seeing in those videos is that none of them worked. He was, to quote, the public officials hell-bent on killing and got on the sidewalk. And there will be questions about whether that could have been impeded in some way, but these are normal questions to ask. And I think these are questions that New Orleans will want to ask as it moves forward in its preparation, for example, for Super Bowl in a couple weeks. Look, this effort came out of 2016. Almost every city did not have this until the major attacks in in Nice and Berlin, using vehicles. And lots of cities then got very creative in protecting open areas like this. They may have to be reassessed or fortified again, given the vehicular attacks that we're seeing these days.
Yeah, that's so important. Michael, the Louisiana governor says the Superdome and the surrounding area in New Orleans is safe. How can they be so sure about that if they don't think the attacker was necessarily solely responsible?
Well, we know we're looking for potential other offenders who could have helped him, but they're sweeping the Superdome multiple times to make sure there are no explosive devices. Just like when Super Bowl and Sugar Bowl are there, as many times as they've been there, we create ingresses and egresses that are secure, and people get searched and checked on the way in. And I am sure now that they are going to create an ingress plan that does not allow any vehicles, other than people who are authorized to come in, and those are going to be checked, to come into that area. Everybody's right. In 2016, when this happened in Nice, the mayor of New Orleans said, I want to fortify this area, and we then invested in those bollards to be put up there. But we also use big trucks and other city vehicles to really fortify the area. They're going to be doing that again for Sugar Bowl and again for Super Bowl, to make sure only people who have to come and can come and are authorized to enter an area can be there with vehicles.
CNN has just obtained surveillance video showing the moment that a suspect drove a pickup truck onto Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Now, before we show this, we do want to warn you, it is disturbing, because this is the beginning of the attack that killed at least 10 people and injured 35 more. This clip is showing Canal Street at 3:16 a.m. local time. The truck is seen going north with a large pole attached to the rear. The suspect then passes what appears to be a law enforcement car and then rapidly turns right onto Bourbon Street and accelerates through a group of people. Let's go now to CNN's Tom Foreman. Tom, you spent many years in New Orleans. Help us understand the magnitude of what was happening in the French Quarter at the time of this attack.
Well, Bourbon Street in the French Quarter really is the heart of this city that lives on tourism. If you look at what happened to the approach to this, this makes it look smaller than it is in some ways. You see this come up this road here and turn. This is over here on Canal and turn in, and then when it starts moving into this area, this is all the French Quarter in here. The actual, when it says it hits the crowd here, if you look at the pictures, it actually seems to have gone further than that before it actually reached a stopping point somewhere up in here, so about 3 blocks. So this is a 4,000 to 5,000 pound vehicle. It's an electric vehicle and accelerates to 60 miles an hour in 4 seconds. So there would be a tremendous number of people here, especially during Sugar Bowl time. And this is not that far, actually, from the Superdome, which is right over here. You could wend your way over here pretty quickly to get where it happened. And many, many, many tourists here because of the hotels that are there, the restaurants that are there, the clubs that are there, the bars. This is a busy, busy, busy area anytime. And one of our witnesses said, typically, even on New Year's Eve, you see the crowd spread out a little bit after midnight. Some of them said, really at 3 a.m., it was still pretty much the way it had been. So a tremendous number of people. If it had not run into that red crane-like device you see, if the truck had not hit there and had kept going, the crowds down here on Bourbon would have only grown more dense, and who knows how heavy the damage would have been, how many people would have been killed.
Jeez.
Real key here, though, one thing I want to point out, the city started this program to replace what are called bollards. You've been hearing it all day long. The bollards are these metal posts here that are rising up. They started this back in November to put in new ones because the old system wasn't working well enough. The purpose of these is to stop people from being able to drive down that street. Usually they're retractable in some fashion. That process was underway with the goal of having it done by the time of the Super Bowl, which is going to be a little more than a month from now. It was not complete. One of the complaints they had was that the truck went up on the sidewalk around a police car that was here, obviously completely an inadequate stopgap measure, and that's why it's the way it is. And now they've got Mardi Gras coming up and Jazz Fest coming up, more big events, millions of people here, and they haven't shown yet they know quite how they're going to deal with this kind of threat.
Ed Lavandera is in Houston with more of the suspect's ties to the state. What are you learning, Ed?
Hi, Pamela. Well, for several hours this afternoon, a number of law enforcement authorities have been here in this far North Houston neighborhood that has been cordoned off. And according to local officials and FBI officials, they have been searching a home that address is connected to this suspect that carried out the terror attack in New Orleans. FBI officials also confirming that this search is related to that investigation. And as you mentioned, we are learning more about this suspect, who in several various sources that we've been able to comb throughout the day, the suspect had been battling some financial troubles, worked in real estate and information technologies systems, and studied that as well. But in court documents we've been able to reveal, he talked about the financial struggles that he had been going through in recent years. From 2019 to 2023, he had a real estate license here in Texas, but in court documents connected to he was sued by the mother of 2 of his children back in 2012 over child support payments. And in some of those documents we've learned that in recent years he talked about being carrying debt of nearly $30,000, owing credit card debt, and also struggling to make payments on his home. We've also come across a YouTube video that was posted back in 2020 about the time that he was getting into real estate here in Texas. The video is described as a personal introduction, and this is what he said on that video.
So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life. With the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist.
And Pamela, you know, this is back here in this North Houston neighborhood where officials here have been very tight-lipped throughout the day, not saying much exactly as to what has been happening here at this search, but that this search continues, and it's been going on for several hours now. Pamela?
All right, thanks so much, Ed. I want to go now to former FBI Supervisory Special Agent Rob D'Amico. Rob, Ed just laid out the suspect and his history. How does someone like that become so radicalized and do something like this?
Well, I think part of it is these groups are very good at getting to people that want to blame someone. It goes across the board. He was having tough times. I think there's probably some mental illness that's going to come across the radar with him, but he's going down a slope. He wants to blame someone, and these groups are great for placing the blame on others and then getting them to act on it. We've seen it in the white supremacist movement. We've seen it in the terrorist groups. They're very good at that, and that's how they recruit them, and then that's how they get them to take action. So I think you're going to see probably when it started to the spiraling effects that we saw from him finally taking action. Obviously, if he's planning to kill his family, the mental health issue is there too, and I think it's a combination.
Yeah, he said in the recordings, according to our John Miller, that he at first thought about bringing his family together for a celebration and then killing them. And then he decided to move off that plan and join ISIS. I wanted to show you this video, and I just want to warn all of our viewers here, it is graphic, and it shows Canal Street at 3:16 a.m. local time. The truck driver is seen passing what appears to be a law enforcement car before rapidly turning onto Bourbon Street and smashing into innocent people. When you watch that video, is there anything that stands out to your trained eye?
Well, one thing is, I made a comment back in December when the vehicle attack in Germany happened, and I said, even if it's not a coordinated event, you are likely to see this trigger someone who's been thinking about it to do something. And I think that's exactly what happened. And they should have planned better. I hate to go back, but like if you couldn't get a vehicle close to Times Square, they blocked those roads off with dump trucks and sand trucks and cement trucks, everything that a vehicle like that, a pickup truck's not going to get through, because they know they need to protect that inner space. So I think you're seeing things that this city, I don't want to say they didn't take it seriously, but if you're just going to put one car, I guarantee if the sidewalk wasn't open, that pickup truck could have pushed that one patrol car. That was traffic enforcement. That's not blockading a vehicle with someone with an intent to do this. And I think it's going to change it. Like 9/11 changed air flight security. This event is going to really change some of the ways that they look at true security of large gatherings of people where they're vulnerable.
Rob D'Amico, thank you.
And ladies and gents, as you watch the show videos with me, first of all, I'd like to give credit to ABC News and CNN YouTube channel related to the show videos that we just watched together. Ladies and gents, for those that are new to my YouTube channel, I always do that. Every time that you see me with the head down, I got my notebook right here that I make notes of some information that I want to discuss, that point out to me that I think was important to talk about real quick. All right, first of all, now, the man is, the suspect was an army veteran from Texas. Okay, as being an army veteran myself, there's so much things that you can put on the whole situation. You know what I mean? Saying, and the man was going through divorce and having financial problems. Now think about kill his own family, get everybody together, and then talk about the implementation of the IED in many places. For those that do not know what the IED stands for improvised explosive devices. That means places that you can make your own bombs. Basically, that's what it is. Improvise whatever you got, cell phones, batteries, or whatever, a source of power. You make your own bomb, and that's you put over there to explode sometime. That's what it is. And now, another thing too that caught my attention because that white truck he rented for Toro, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Toro is a website that anybody, if you have, like I said, first, if you have more than one car and you want to make some extra money, so you put your car available for somebody to rent your vehicle and use and then pay back. So I know somebody, a good friend of mine from Virginia, that have his car being completely, one I believe was stolen and was found like 2 states away from, and another one was some severe damage. So probably the whoever owns that truck, once saw this truck and saw this picture and got the information, I know he's pretty upset. I don't know how the insurance works on related to you put your own car to business. I don't know, but I would not do that. So because insurance companies and rental car companies, they have the big insurance, so they're in the business. Now you basically as an individual try to get in the business. It's going to be a little bit costly for you to do that. I think, I'm not sure. And it's just like, in my personal opinion, in my own personal life, I've been through so many struggles in my life. I went through a divorce as well. But one thing that I can give kudos to my ex-wife, that she is a good mother. And when I was going through some hardship in my life, and she knew from the get-go, I always take care of my kids. I always know when we were married, I pay all the bills. I gave her extra money. I took care of my kids. To this day, they're 24 and 22. And if they need anything, as long as they're doing the right thing, I'm there for them. So she knows that I was taking care of business. So when I went to that moment in my life, she took me. Now we went to the child support office when I was in Virginia, and she took me out of the child support for maybe 1 year, maybe 2, something like that, because I was going through some hard stuff. Because she know once my life go back to on track, I would make sure that she get the money that she needs for kids and everything else. So I'm blessed that I have an ex-wife that understood and knew what kind of man I am. So I'm not saying anything about his ex-wife. Different strokes for different folks. That's not my point. What I'm saying is, my personal opinion, even though I can sympathize with somebody going to divorce, I can sympathize with somebody that's going to some financial hardship, but regardless of all this going on, I will never, ever try to think about kill my own family, or because shit's going left and right in my life, I decide now to take on somebody else. Because when I heard this for the first time, like as soon as they broke up the news, I was pretty upset because I was just talking to some co-workers about the New Year's and things like that. That's why I am nowadays. I'm a homebody. I go out. If I'm going to do anything outside, it's going to be in the morning or it's going to be in the afternoon. Once, just like back in the days, whoever grew up in the 70s, that your parents say when the street lights are on, get your black ass inside the house. I am the same way. Once it gets dark outside, I'm inside the house. Rarely. Now, for the past 2 years, I used to go sometimes to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch some UFC fights, but I don't watch that anymore. And so I'm a homebody. And another reason for that, in case of too many people involved, is going to be always someone that's going to plot on the new year, first 3 hours of 2025. This dude decided to get in the truck and just go reckless on everybody that has nothing to do with what he was going through. Mental issues, family issues. Everybody that were there on Bourbon Street have had nothing to do with what's going on in his life. And that's one thing that I personally, I have a problem when you try to take on somebody else. Just like, for instance, if somebody is driving, do some stupid shit, or drinking and driving, or texting, driving, do some whatever. That you supposed not to do that. You're not supposed to do that. And something happened, and if that particular individual get injured or die, that's on him, that's on her. You do the crime, you do the time. For like I say many times, the law of physics, for every action there is a reaction. But the problem that I have in the same situation, when you are the one that had the problem, you end up causing harm to people that has nothing to do with your reckless, your stupidity, or anything that's going on in your life. Now, I feel sorry for the kids, they find out that doesn't say the age of the children and keep their family private, because even though whatever going to divorce, the ex-wife probably has nothing to do with the plot or why he decided to go crazy and act like that. The kids have nothing to do with his state of mind. So please, ladies and gentlemen, leave the family out of it, because I know for sure, I know for sure, but I believe that they don't have nothing to do with this situation and the killings of innocent people by their father, ex-husband, and so forth. But it's insane. It's insane. You live in a very, very fragile and failed society. Too many guns out there, too many people doing some stupid shit, I'm gonna say it. It's just crazy. It is sad too. It is sad that we're going to start this year, the 3 hours of the year, breaking news, this tragedy. Then there was another mass shooting. If I'm not mistaken, it was in Baltimore. It's just like, come on, people. Can you get together? Can you just you have too many bills to pay. You got so much stuff going on. And life is already rough and tough, for people doing some shenanigans like that. Ladies and gents, so that's my 2 cents about today's episode. Ladies and gents, I feel sorry. And my prayers going to the family of the victims that right now is a sad, sad moment they go in their lives. That I believe has also 2 football players, if I'm not mistaken, from Pennsylvania State, something like that. I saw one of the, I think it was a YouTube channel, something like that. Like I say, all these 15, now the young lady that showed 18 years old that's about to start nursing school. So it's crazy. That's why, I'm going to say it again, I keep my black ass in the house. Because I know when it comes to crowd, this is a safe place. There are plenty of food over here, there are plenty of wine, and everything is going to be just fine. So once again, if you like this video right here, please click on the like button. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you drink this wine or any other wine, make a comment over here. Share this video with all your family friends, and I appreciate your support. So please be safe, be kind, and be blessed, and do the best what you can do with what you got. Salute. And I see you next Saturday. Holla!
straight to the top. Coming with the pull up for the #1 spot. Pushing my rap like the push out on the block. Holding my down, sucker rappers get lost. Coming from the bottom, moving straight to the top.